Welcome, my fellow reptiles, to Ask Rep Q&A number 8. This is where you guys submit me video responses or questions, and I answer them to my best of my ability. One of the reasons I really like doing this every 2 weeks is because it allows me to connect with my audience on a more personal level. I know a lot of people do Q&A videos on YouTube, but it's not often that YouTubers actually take the time to watch videos submitted to your video, comment on them, or then use them in their own video like I'm going to do here. So if you're new to my channel, feel free to leave a comment down below asking me a question, or if you really want to get awesome, please leave a video response to this video down below, and I will make sure to try to include it. If I don't include your video, I will most likely include it in my next video. So with that said, let's get right on to the questions. 1, 2, 3.
Hi, so my question is, if a girl and a guy have sex, would you consider it rape if the girl didn't know him and she didn't want to do it, but she didn't say she wanted to do it, or she didn't try to push away? Is that like kind of considered rape in senses? Just asking. Okay.
It's actually really interesting that you asked this question because just yesterday I posted this on my Facebook and I quote, "If I got on a bus and saw someone had fallen asleep, walked over to them and punched them in the face, and everyone knows that'd be wrong. I can't be just like, you were practically asking for it by not wearing a mask and being unconscious, and besides, it's not like you said no. So why the hell is it so hard to understand sexual actions? Wake up." And I believe this is so damn true, is that a lot of people don't realize or understand that when someone is about to be raped or put in a situation where they're pressured to have sex and they're not consenting and don't want to have sex, that some of these victims of rape or sexual assault go through what is known as a temporal shock. There's a certain word to describe this scenario, I don't know what it is, but it's where your body literally is like in shock from what is happening to you and you can't even fight back. There have been cases of rape victims who have been raped who don't even fight back although they're being raped by someone. That's because their body has went into this temporal shock mode or anxiety or /panic mode in which they can't even say anything. They can't say, "No, I don't want you to have sex." And if someone knows the terminology that I'm talking about, please let me know. But that's what the whole idea of what consent is. Rape is classified as forcing someone against their will to some sort of sexual action in which is not consented. If someone's unconscious, that does not give you the right to stick your fingers in their body or touch them inappropriately. If someone is drunk, and if someone's drunk and they cannot communicate correctly, and they can't say, "Yes, let's have sex," don't touch them. Don't touch their body. Don't do anything like that. The whole idea of what rape is, what constitutes as rape, is not having consent, and if someone does not consent to you touching them inappropriately or having sex, that is classified as rape. It's really that simple. So to answer your question, if this girl was in the situation of not wanting to have sex, but this guy was trying to pressure her to have sex and put her in the position to have sex, and she couldn't say, "I don't want it," it's still classified as rape because she did not consent to the sexual actions that were done to her. Hope that answers your question.
Hey, Mr. Epsilon, my question for you is, what's your view on booty calls? I mean, obviously, you don't have one, but if you could have a booty call, would you? I mean, obviously there's no love, but hey, you know, sometimes people just want to have sex.
Should I be offended when you said, "Obviously I don't have a booty call"? Ow, man, that was a slap in the face. That's a big assumption on your part. But anywho, to answer your question, what do I think of booty calls? I don't have anything against them per se. I, for one, would not be for booty calls. Personally, for myself, I don't care if any other people do them because I know sex is a very natural thing, and we humans, females and males, want to have sex, whether it's intimate or not, or true love or not. People have sex. People want to have sex, and I have no problem with that. But for me personally, one of the reasons I don't think I could do booty calls is simply because I'm a very intimate and physical person, and I don't want to have sex with someone who I don't care for, like, or love. That's what it boils down for me, and I feel as if I just go out and have sex with whoever, that I'm kind of just, I'm going against my standard for what I think sex should be about, and I don't care if people want to go out and have sex. I'm not going to judge them for that. But for me personally, I want intimacy and a connection with that person. and I just can't go out and have sex with a bunch of different people, because then if I did that, I would create a sexual bond, or a bond with that person that I'm having sex with, and then I'd have my feelings for this girl, this girl, this girl, this girl, this girl, this girl, and I don't want that. I can't deal with that, and I want to be focused on one individual person. But I have to say, it really depends on how hot she is. If a girl was like this drop-dead gorgeous girl and she said she wanted to have sex with me just because, I may consider doing a booty call. I'll be honest. That is if I was single, of course. But yeah, in most cases, I think I would say no. I would never do a booty call. If any other people do it, that's fine. But yeah, those are my thoughts on booty calls. So if you do booty calls, by all means, that's your thing. That's fine. I'm not going to judge you for that. But it's not my thing, unless she's really, really hot.
Hey Dan, I was wondering, how do you feel about annoying fans, and specifically fans that are really only interested in you because you're kind of a big deal on the internet?
Am I really a big deal on the internet? I don't think I am at all. But I know exactly what you're meaning by this question, because I've actually had people who are... I've had people who I know in real life who only want to be my friend because they know the types of videos that I make, and they actually want to be in my videos. And I've had people classify themselves as fans, hoping that I would make a video about them. And it's... Yeah. I don't like really obsessive fans. If someone's a fan of my videos, that's fine, but I want people to look at me as a finite human being who is just like everybody else. I think that one of the greatest misconceptions of YouTubers, especially really popular YouTubers, I'm not there yet, but is that a lot of young girls and even guys look to these big YouTubers and they're like, this guy's amazing, they're perfect, they're my idol. And rather than people say to me that I'm their idol, I want people just to say to me, you know, I like your videos, I think you're an awesome person, but I want you to know that you're human. You're not this perfect being. And in my experience of radical fans, I've made a video a while back regarding radical fans, is that it's really important that you understand that I am no different than anybody else. I am no different than Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is no more different than you. Yes, he may be a celebrity and popular, but he's human and he's no different. That's the big thing. You have so many young fans and fangirls and fanboys who look up to people like PewDiePie and Shane Dawson, and they look to them as this celebrity god, when in reality, they're just like you and me, no different. And that's what I want people to realize. That's what I want fans to realize. Instead of trying to raise me up to this pedestal. And I know it sounds arrogant, but I've had fans rise me up to this thinking that I'm like this infallible human, and I don't like that. I want people to look at me as a human being who has emotions, feelings, and goes through trials and struggles just like everybody else. I'm human.
Hey Mr. Epsilon, I'm a huge fan. Here's a question I'm going to ask you. When dealing with depression, have you ever had this eating disorder where there's food there, and your body just doesn't want you to have it, and you yourself really want to get it, but something's stopping you. So if you could say, if you can answer that, that'd be great. Okay, bye.
While I do have chronic depression and anxiety disorder, and I did struggle with eating habits when I was younger, I have never experienced what you just described. However, my mom has, and on my channel, you can click this video right here where I have my mom in a video in which we discuss her when she was younger, when she was going through anorexia and bulimia, and she was doing some very harmful things to her body. So if you click this video right here, I'll have it right here for the next 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you click that video, it will take you to the video in which I think some of my mom's advice to people who are struggling with this type of area of anorexia/bulimia. This may be very helpful to you. So, hope that answers your question.
And his face gets completely fucked up on this side, and his arm gets fucked up. Now, my question is, if this were to happen to you, like you get into a big accident and your face is completely messed up, your jaw's broken in 3 places, your arm doesn't hurt, how would that affect your life? Like, how would you handle that situation?
Strangely enough, I actually had an answer to this question before I even watched your video, because I've thought about this scenario many, many times of what would happen to me, how would I deal with something traumatic to where, half my face was melted off or something. As long as if I could somehow still communicate to people and talk, even with my face half deformed, I would still make YouTube videos. I have already told myself that. Mainly because I think that if that actually happened to me, not only would people see me as someone who went through a great amount of physical pain of having half my face ripped off or whatever, but I think my ability to influence and affect people's lives and inspire them would grow even more than it already has on my YouTube channel. I would use what happened to me, the experience, as a means to encourage, inspire, help, and move other people who are going through similar things, maybe depression or whatever. I would use myself as a means to communicate, not to give up on life. One of my favorite YouTubers, known as Josh Sundquist, is one of these people who I've looked to as an example, and he's a motivational speaker, and he's missing a leg. And just to be able to see his trials and struggles that he's went through, and yet he's a motivational speaker, and he goes to conferences and talks to people and inspires them and influences them. And he's missing part of his body. And yet he still has that power to influence and help other people.
Hi Daniel, and my question for you is, as someone who is involved in the cosplay community, what are your views on people who are overweight and cosplay? Now, I know you mentioned in one of your other videos that when you cosplay you feel that people should accurately represent the character. So when they are like obese or overweight, do you think that prohibits them from accurately representing that character?
In my video where I talked about cosplaying and accurately representing the character, what I meant by that is in terms of the cosplay costume itself. For example, for those of you who don't know, I cosplay as Deadpool, and Deadpool, if you read the comics, is massively buff. I mean, he's ripped. His arms are the size of my head in the comic books. And I cosplay as Deadpool. Now, I do not have the physicality that Deadpool has of being ripped and buff and everything. I'm a very scrawny, skinny-ass dude. But when I cosplay as him, my costume is very accurate to that of the character, and my personality of Deadpool is almost spot on 100%. And that's what I meant by accurately representing the character. I think it's terrible if someone goes up to someone and says, your cosplay is shit because you're fat. That's terribly rude. I would never think of something, I would never tell anybody, and I would hope no other cosplayers would tell everybody that you can't cosplay as so-and-so because you're too fat or you don't fit the physical aspect of the character. There's plenty of people who cosplay who don't fit the physicality of the character that they're portraying. I, for example, Deadpool, I don't fit the character, but I fit the costume and the personality, and that's simply what I meant. And I think people should embrace if they love comic books, if they love anime characters, that no matter what their weight is, if they want to cosplay as that person, they should have the right to do it, and no one should have to put a finger in their face and say, you're not good enough because you're fat. That's ridiculous, and if anyone does that, they're a fucking asshole.
Hey, Mr. Epstein, I have different questions for you, except one's going to remain the same. What is your favorite Mario game? 2, have you heard of Glenn Miller?
My favorite Mario game would have to be Mario 64, which I will be doing a Let's Play either on my side channel or main channel relatively soon. I love that game. And then, do I know of Glenn Miller? Of course. See, back in the day, the music playing in the background, this is the music that I loved. 1930s, 40s, and 50s. This is when I listen to this type of music, this is Glenn Miller, by the way, this is the music that inspires me. This is the music that I think this is romantic music. Instead, nowadays, we have all of this shitty Nicki Minaj rap bullshit. I can't stand most mainstream music. I really can't. And I think the 1930s, 40s, and 50s was the time Glenn Miller being a great example, one of my favorite artists of a musician who creates wonderful music. And I wish we could go back to the 1930s and 40s and 50s in terms of the music era, because quite frankly, I believe that was the best.
What phone OS do you prefer? Android, BlackBerry, Windows, or iOS?
You probably won't like my answer, but I am an Android guy. I actually owned an iPhone 3 before. I've used Apple products quite a lot, and I have to side with the Android. I actually haven't used Windows applications yet on phones, but I have to say Android by far I think is the best. And I love my Samsung Galaxy S3, and if you are an Apple person, that's fine, but having used both quite a lot, I have to go with Android just because it's awesome, and I hate most Apple products simply because I hate the lack of lack of flexibility that you have with Apple products compared to that of Android. Specifically, I don't like Apple computers either because of the lack of flexibility, and you have to run dual operating systems to run Windows and just on and on and on. I am an Android guy. Android for the win.
Okay, so my question for you is, what traits or behaviors or characteristics would you say a man has to have or exhibit to be considered a gentleman?
What traits or characteristics does a man have to be considered a gentleman? Interesting question, but I want to make it clear that everything that I say in this response to your question is applicable to women also. I'm not one-sided. I look at both sides equally, and I think that a simple gentleman would be a man who respects the woman. In other words, he respects if she says, no, I don't want to go on a date, or no, I don't like you, or no, I'm not interested in you, then he respects her. He doesn't stalk her, doesn't keep asking, doesn't keep pressuring her to do things that she doesn't want. She just respects her and is nice, kind, maybe opens the door for her, maybe being polite. I think gentlemen or gentlewomen, if not gentle, whatever, you know what I mean. I think it really boils down to respect. I have a lot of people who I interact with who have told me that I am a gentleman towards women. And when people tell me that, I'm like, well, what makes me a gentleman? And they usually say, I respect people's answers and I respect women. So from my experience, in terms of what classifies as a gentleman, I would say be respectful of the person who you're interacting with. Be respectful to women. And likewise, they need to be respectful to you. Just because you're respectful to them does not mean that that girl can treat you like crap. I've seen this in many, many times where a really nice, polite guy who is a gentleman treats this girl and bends his back over backwards for her, and she treats him like garbage. And in instances like that, that's not good and that's wrong. Respect needs to be on both sides, and I think they both need to be polite and they both need to respect one another, and that's classifies as a gentleman or a gentlewoman, I guess, if that makes sense. And the two final questions is, what are your opinions on abortion, Mr. Repzion? It's interesting because if you go back on my older videos, you can find my first video on abortion where I argued for why I believe abortion is wrong under all circumstances and should not be allowed or ever tolerated. Now, if you watch my videos, I don't really talk about abortion very often anymore, but I believe that a woman should have a right to choose to have an abortion. I believe that if you take that right away, you're taking away her rights, and I'm all for having a woman be able to choose to have an abortion. I'm very familiar with anti-abortion arguments. I used to argue them, so I can debate the topic very, very well. It just boils down to a woman should have a choice to have an abortion. And I think in cases of rape, it's especially needs to be considered, because I can't even imagine what a woman has to go through to be raped by a man, then she gets impregnated and is having a child. I can't imagine that. And yes, I do believe adoption is also a viable option for a woman, but she has the right to have an abortion, and I think that it's perfectly acceptable for a woman to have an abortion. That's pretty much it. Hawkeye or Green Arrow? If you know anything about me, you would know that my answer is Hawkeye. I like the Marvel Universe, a lot more than I do DC, simply because the only two DC characters I really like is Deathstroke, Batman, and Superman. And when it comes to Marvel, I have a list of like unlimited amount of characters that I'm in love with, that I'm infatuated with, that I'm addicted to, that I'm obsessed with. So definitely Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye is a lot cooler than Green Arrow. And yeah, those are my thoughts. Anyways, this has been Ask Rep Q&A number 8. Thank you for watching this video. All of my links are down below in the description. Feel free to leave a comment down below asking me your question, and please leave a video response down below. If I didn't answer your question in a video, please resubmit it down below in the description. And please submit video responses. Video responses always get priority over comments, so if you submit a video response, you're very, very likely to be included in one of my videos for Ask Rep Q&A number 9. So, there you have it. Ask me any question you want. I don't care. Vulgar, crude, funny, crazy, serious, whatever, religion, I don't care. Thank you for watching. My name is Mr. Repzion. Peace the rep out.